Joining me now from the Bishops' Conference in Baltimore is Siobhan O'Connor. Welcome to the program, Siobhan. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Lauren, for having me.
When you resigned from the diocese after 3 years as Bishop Malone's secretary, calling him out for covering up clergy sex abuse, how did you feel?
Well, on a personal level, it was extremely difficult. I had worked so closely with the bishop, and I really struggled with that personal betrayal, and yet I felt that I had to speak up for the good of the survivors, for our diocese, and for the truth. But I must admit that emotionally it was very difficult to do what I did.
Bishop Malone has refused to resign despite calls to do so. He's there, you're there. Have you run into him, and what would you say to him if you did?
No, I have not run into him, but I've been prepared for that because I know he is here, and just recently we were watching as many of the bishops left in these black Suburbans, and I wondered, is he in one of those? Does he see me? And at one point I almost was brought to tears by it. But if I were to see him, I would want him to know I'm here as an ally, not an adversary, that I still consider myself an ally of his, maybe not the way I used to be, but that I still want to work with him.
You still want to work with someone who you believe covered up abuse. Why is that?
Well, it's because as much as I sadly know those realities, and I know where he has failed us, truly, but I still do believe that if he's going to stay, if he won't resign, then we have to work with him, because otherwise we're going to just have 2.5 years of more of the same, and I don't want that. And so if he won't resign, then as difficult as it might be, I still would want to work with him for the good of our diocese. We have to come together, because if we're divided on this, it's just going to make everything worse.
So let me ask you, are you upset that the Vatican has tied the bishops' hands at this meeting and basically said, you can't come up with a formal vote, we can't do anything until February?
Yes, that was very devastating news on Monday. It really just felt like the wind went out of our sails here. And I don't understand what they were thinking in that regard, because back in 2002, our United States bishops came up with their charter, and then they presented it to Rome and adapted it according to some recommendations from the Vatican, but they were able to proceed on their own. And I dearly wish that that had been allowed to occur. And I feel that it was a great blow to us to feel that they were hamstrung in this way and having to wait till February. This is an emergency. It needs to be handled now. We can't wait until February of 2019 when they're here now. That was extremely difficult to accept.
One last question for you before you go. Listening to the bishops in these halls, do you believe that they do want a concrete solution to this problem?
Well, I hope that they do, but I do fear that collectively their intentions may not be united. I think some of them are still too concerned about the reputation of the church. They're still focused on protocols and policies, when we have more than enough protocol in the gospel of the Lord and the 10 Commandments. And so I wish that they would turn to this as a conversion of heart and a return to holiness in our church. And then all of the protocols and policies will stem from that. So I hope that individual bishops can stand up, those who are strong, those who are convicted, and help their brother bishops to come together and collectively be united in this true conversion of heart that we need, so that the soul of our church can be restored.
Wow, powerful, very powerful message. Siobhan O'Connor, thank you so much for joining us, the former personal secretary to Bishop Richard Malone of the Diocese of Buffalo.
Thank you.